Good morning. Something sweet is making bread today. Today is going to be a sourdough feeding, hopefully making my regular round sourdough loaves tonight and into tomorrow. But this video is just going to be about how I feed the starter. So I have four. I've told you that on previous videos. And they live in the refrigerator in these mason jars. These are the really messy ones because I've already taken 50 grams out of each of them and put it in clean jars. So I have four jars with 50 grams of starter in each one. That's when we feed our starter, it's fed in equal parts starter, flour, and distilled water. So the next step is going to be to add 50 grams of distilled water to this jar. So we're going to do that now. Okay. We'll do that again. All right. And again. And one more time. All right. The next step will be to add 50 grams of bread flour, but we're going to stir these first, get our big funnel so it'll be easier to get it in there. And I'll bring you back in just a minute and finish feeding the sourdough. So we're back. We've got our funnel and we've got the scale zeroed out. We have 50 grams of starter and 50 grams of distilled water. Now we're going to add 50 grams of flour. Okay. We'll stir these when we're finished. All right. Okay. All right. One more. All right. Okay, so we're going to stir this. When we get it stirred, it'll look very thick and pasty, and we will take a rubber band and put it where it is so we can tell when it's grown. Once we get that done, we're going to set it on the stove. I'll put the stove on our warm setting, and we'll leave it for at least a couple hours until it doubles in size and we're ready to start the bread making process. I'll be back with you then. We're back. We're working on our sourdough. We fed the starter and we've left it sitting and it has grown. See how big it is and see how bubbly it is. So we're ready to start the process to make the typical tough round sourdough loaves. I make four of them at a time, so I have four bowls sitting out. I will take you with me with one loaf as we go through so you can see how it works, and I'll put the recipe and the steps, maybe even a video in the directions so you can see how to do this. You take your starter. That's not where we start. We're going to use starter. We're going to use distilled water, bread flour, and salt, and that's all. But there's a certain step and order to the way this happens. I'll work on this off and on all afternoon and into the evening. It'll sit in my refrigerator all night, and we'll bake it in the morning in big cast iron Dutch ovens. and it turns into really, really beautiful, tasty loaves of bread. So our first step, we've got our kitchen scale. We've got our kitchen scale, and we've got a nice big bowl, and we're going to put that on there, and we're going to make sure it's zeroed out so that it's 0. The first thing we're going to add is 300 grams of water. All right, that, and to that, we're going to add 10 grams of salt. All right, and we're going to take this very fragrant starter, and we're going to put 100 grams of it into the starter, into the water. 100 grams. Let me zero this out. We're going to put in 100 grams. All right. Now the rest of this starter will go back in the refrigerator, and it will be what we'll start with the next time we want to feed our sourdough and get ready to bake bread. We'll do this 4 times. But the next thing we're going to do is stir the water. We're going to stir the water and the starter and the salt all together. All right, we're going to put it back on the scale, zero it out, and we are going to add 450 grams of flour. All right, we've got it. Now we've got all the ingredients in here. We're going to take our spoon and we're going to stir it, and it will definitely make a shaggy dough. See how it comes together. It's dry, and that's okay. It's not going to be completely cohesive yet, but it looks exactly like it's supposed to look. All right, bread number 1 is mixed together. So it will sit for 30 minutes before we take the next step. And when we do that, I'll bring you back. Next step in our sourdough journey, we have to do one of 3 what is called stretch and folds. With sourdough, you don't need it. We don't need this dough, but we stretch it and fold it, and it does help the gluten to develop. So that's what it looks like right now. It's a mess, huh? We're going to keep working on it. This will be the first of 3 stretch and folds. I'm going to dampen my fingers just a little bit, and I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to pull that dough around. Look, it's already looking more like a cohesive dough. Kind of get it together. And we're going to take each side and we're going to pull it up and fold it over. Go to the next side. We're going to pull it up and fold it over. Again, we're going to pull it up, fold it over. And the last side, we're going to pull it up and fold it over. There we go. We're going to do that again in 30 minutes for the second stretch and fold. Got to do the other 3 loaves because we're doing 4 this afternoon. See you back in 30 minutes. 30 minutes have passed. It's time for the next stretch and fold. You can see the dough's starting to look a little smoother. It's not real warm in here, so we're going to have to get it over and warm it up a little bit, but it'll do fine. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to go in, we're going to pick it up, and we're going to stretch it over. Go to the next side, north, south, east, and west. This side, we're going to pull it over, and this side, we're going to pull it over. Look at that. We're starting to see some bubbles. We'll set the timer for 30 more minutes. I'll do the other 3. At that third stretch and fold, we do something a little bit different, and then we'll move to the next stage. See you back in 30 minutes. All right, we're ready for our third and final stretch and folds. So we'll do the exact same thing we did before, plus another step, and then I'll tell you what's going to happen next. So we're going to take this one right here, hand in a little water. The dough is feeling a lot different. It's more cohesive. That's 1, 2, 3. I would imagine that this is going to take a little longer to rise because it is cooler here in Florida than it usually is. We're usually 80s or so, and it's low 60s. So a warmer environment will let this rise a little faster. So I imagine everything is going to be a little slower than it was. I'm just rounding this up a little bit so that when it rises, it'll rise up and not out. So that's 1. Oh, look, there's a bubble on top right there. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, the next step is that this is going to be, well, let's try to say it correctly. This is going to be the bulk fermentation stage of this bread. And it will take 2.5, 3.5 hours. So we're going to do the stretch and folds on all 4 of these loaves. We're going to put them on the stove, try to get it as warm as possible. And in about 3 hours, we'll take the next step. So this is a lengthy process, but believe me, it's worth it. So I'll see you back in 3 hours or so. Do something fun. Well, it's late for us here in Florida, but it's taken this bread longer to rise because of the cool temperatures, and it's just been a longer process. It's been in the bulk fermentation stage for between 3.5 and 4 hours, but I think we're finally there, and we're ready to do the next step. The next thing that we will do is take it out of this bowl, and we will pre-shape it. We'll just kind of pull it into a tight ball, let it sit for half an hour to form a skin before we put it in the refrigerator for its all-night rise in the refrigerator. So we're going to get this out of the bowl. And we're going to use a little bit of flour. And we're just going to keep rolling it around until it just forms a tight ball of dough. You see that? Nice and round. We see some bubbles. So it's doing what it's supposed to do, and it's going to sit here for 30 minutes and form a skin. And then we'll do the final shaping and get it into its bowl to rest for the night. Half an hour. I'll see you one more time before we go to bed tonight. It's been a long day of bread making, but we're almost to the end of what we need to do tonight. The bread has been shaped, just the beginning shaping, and we'll finish shaping it in just a minute. But I wanted to talk about one piece of equipment that you'll need if you're going to do sourdough. It's called a Banneton basket. You can use a regular bowl, but this is better. I have 2 of these that are rattan. They're like baskets, and then I have 2 others that are silicone. I personally like the silicone ones better. They're easier to clean, but that's a matter of personal preference. You can do it however is easiest for you, whichever is the easiest to get. Floured them on the inside so that they wouldn't stick. And we'll put the bread in here after its final shaping in just a minute, where it'll get covered and it'll go in the refrigerator to stay all night to be baked in the morning. So we're going to take one of these loaves and a little bit of flour, and we're just going to flip it over like this. And we're going to pull it into a square shape. You don't have to have a rolling pin. You just pull it. And then we're going to fold it very much like you would fold a letter to put it in an envelope. So we're going to take one side and fold it over, press down that seam, take the other side, fold it over, press down that seam. Then we're going to take it from this end and we're going to roll it gently. We don't want to pop the bubbles that have formed in there. Take this end and pull it so that it covers up the spirals. We'll turn it around. Take this end and pull it so that it's all tucked up. And then we will gently pick it up and we will put it in the basket, smooth side down, folded side up. In just a minute, when we get the others done, we'll cover this and we'll put it in the refrigerator for the night. In the morning, I'll come back and show you how we deal with the Dutch ovens and the heating of those and the temperatures and all the things you'll need to know about finally baking this bread. I hope you have a great night's sleep, and I will see you in the morning. Good morning. From late last night to early this morning, the bread dough has been in the refrigerator all night and it's ready for its final stage of cooking. Sourdough bread, particularly this type of sourdough bread, has to be cooked at a very high temperature, and for at least part of that time it needs to be cooked in a closed container so that it steams and it gives it that rise. And I cook mine in very heavy cast iron Dutch ovens. I have several of them, but this one and this one are the ones that I typically use. I do 4 loaves, but my oven will only let me bake two of them at a time. So I'll bake 2 and then I'll bake the other 2. Look at the bread. It's been in the refrigerator all night and it's gotten all puffy and nice, and we will be getting ready to put it in the pot in 30 minutes. The first thing we will do is we'll take these cast iron pots and we'll put the lids on them. We'll put them in a cold oven. We'll turn it on to 450 degrees and we'll leave them in there for 30 minutes so that they will be screaming hot when we put this bread in there. So I just wanted to kind of tell you that so that you'll know that's what we're going to do, and then we'll be back in 30 minutes. But I don't want to leave you without saying how much I appreciate the support that you have given to Sabrina, my daughter, and me through this beginning journey of being YouTubers. We've gotten almost 100 subscribers. That may not sound like much to those of you who've been doing this a long time, but it's very gratifying to us to see that people want to see what we're doing and hopefully are enjoying it. If you are, let me know. I would love to hear your comments. I've had some people tell me how much they enjoy. I've also had some people give me some suggestions that were super helpful. So I'm up for that. I'm new at this and I'm learning, and I'm more than happy to hear you experienced people tell me things I could do better. So I will see you back in 30 minutes and I'll show you how we put this bread in the oven. See you soon. 30 minutes have passed. Those Dutch ovens are screaming hot. So we're ready to get this bread into the oven for its first 20 minutes of baking with the lid on so that there's some steam. I showed you this before, but look, it's all puffy. It's been in the refrigerator all night. We're going to loosen it from the sides of the Banneton basket, and we're going to dump it onto a piece of parchment paper. Do the same thing to the other one. Remember, I can only bake 2 of these at a time. Let's get that one out. Look how pretty they are. Now, the last thing we have to do before we put these into the oven is we have to score the top so that they'll have what's called an ear. They'll open up, and we have to do that. So we'll take this tool. It's called a lamb or a lamb. It's a very sharp razor blade, and it will just cut across the top of this sourdough. So we're going to give it a cut. Look down in there. You can see the bubbles. Can you see those bubbles down in there? Oh my goodness, it's going to be so delicious. Now we're going to do the same thing to this one. All right, and we're going to bake these on the parchment paper. So I'm going to lift this one and walk over and just plop it down into this Dutch oven. I'm going to put the lid on. And then I'm going to do the other one and put them in the oven for 20 minutes. And then I'll bring you back. Just a real quick check-in to show you what the bread looks like after it's 20 minutes of cooking with the lid on. So as you can see, it's puffed up. The ear has opened, but it's not very brown. So we will put it back in on that same temperature. We're still going to leave the oven at 450 degrees. We're going to put it back in for 20 more minutes, and then we'll show you the absolute finished product. So see you in a few. All right, they are finally done. The first 2 of 4, I'll go ahead and do the other 2 in a few minutes. You can see they are beautiful and brown and crusty, and they will be delicious. We may eat some of one of these today, we may not, but after they've completely cooled, I'll put them in bags and we'll put them in the freezer so we can use them whenever. Remember, there are no preservatives in these, so if you leave them sitting out in a couple of days, they will mold. So you don't want to waste this bread that you've spent so much time making, so be sure you take care of it appropriately. I'm going to post a video in the description that gives you explicit directions as to how to do this. So you can make your own sourdough and you will enjoy it. And it's addictive. I will tell you it's addictive. I feel like I have extra children that I have to take care of, but it's so much fun. Thank you so much for all the support you've given to Sabrina and me as we are on this journey to share what we love to do with those of you out there. If you enjoy what we do, if you'll subscribe and hit the like and follow button, give me comments, criticisms, whatever you'd like to do. But most importantly, I hope something really sweet happens to you today. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.